time to give your opinion on the Bills and the NFL. Let's talk football live. Now, here's the 13 Wham Sports Team.
Welcome in to Let's Talk Football Live. My Catalana, Dan Fetes. I'm Jenna Cottrell. We are getting you ready as the Bills taking on the Patriots this Monday. Wow, what is time? The Bills winning the AFC East title. We'll talk about the fact that fans could be allowed back in Bills Stadium. We got a lot to talk about, but Mike, let's start with this. The Bills facing off against the evil Empire, but this Empire looks pretty different this time around.
Yeah, no doubt about it, right? How everything is flipped. I like how casually you just said, Bills won the AFC East.
Oh, that's old news. That's old
news.
They haven't
done it this millennium.
We can talk about today, too, with Josh Allen won.
Yeah, well, Josh Allen, a winner again. It's so different now going into Foxboro. You know, I thought last year when they Foxboro, the difference was the Patriots looked at them as a legitimate threat, even though they weren't going to beat them out for the division. I think they looked at them and said, all right, this Buffalo team's pretty good. It just flipped so fast now. Now it's like, I mean, the Bills swept right by them. And not just did New England have a down year, and Dan loves every bit of this, but New England's got a lot of issues going forward.
Yeah, I like I said, this we may actually see Jarrett Stidham, which is somebody that I joked around about during the offseason, that when people are like, all of the Patriots were like, Jarrett Stidham's the guy. Like, we have so much faith in him. And I laughed and I said, like, what do you expect to hear out of the locker room? Like, they're going to be like, this guy stinks. We don't want anything to do with him. So it is one of those things where, Jenna, I'm not surprised at the issues that the Patriots have had, because I think Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, covered up a lot of those flaws throughout the years. And as the roster continues to crumble, Mike, you talked about it before, how bad the Bills wide receiving core was back in 2018. And you said it may be the worst wide receiving core, not only in the league, but in the history of the Bills franchise. This Patriots wide receiving core may be that bad.
Yeah, and, you know, they've had a couple of guys show flashes, but it's just that hopeful Robert Foster type flash, right?
Yeah.
Here's a guy, and he makes a couple of plays. I mean, they put a big investment in a couple of guys. I mean, last year they got Sanu from Atlanta, gave up a second-round pick. They drafted N'Keal Harry, and they are getting they got, you know, Sanu's long gone, and they get very little to nothing out of Harry. Yeah, they have to rebuild that entire wide receiving group, and they got to find themselves a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen so much this year, even what like strong, impressive quarterback play can do for your team. And once again, Josh Allen winning the AFC.
Wait, Jenna, it's not the running game? It's not with the running game?
You're a troll.
Look at that.
You're a troll.
Normally it takes us to trigger Dan.
I was going to say.
In this case, he couldn't wait.
Dan's feeling spicy already. But
yeah, like I said, it's the quarterback play.
It's quarterback play. In 2020, who would have thought? But quarterback play, Josh Allen winning the AFC Offensive Player of the Week for the fourth time.
Yeah.
Four. That's crazy to me. I mean, I feel like coming into this season, you would hope that he would have that progression like we all talked about. And the joke is, you know, he always wins it after he plays Miami. But Dan, I mean, could you have we're now talking about him winning it a fourth time. It's wild.
Yeah, and it's funny. I did the story on Josh this offseason where how he was found in Fireball, and obviously it's well known now that he went to Wyoming, that he was a zero-star recruit out of high school. And after I got done asking him some questions about the last year in Pittsburgh and all of those things, I asked him just kind of being like, "Hey, like, how are you so confident?" Like, all the coaches that I talked to, I said, like, "How are you confident?" And you were a zero-star recruit. Nobody wanted you. And then you were doubted when you came into the league. And everybody just said how confident he always was. And I said, as I asked that question, he paused for a second, and it may have been like the lack of Zoom connection, but I quickly said, like, I don't mean that as an insult. Like, and he goes, no, I get it. And he explained that, it was the way that his parents were brought up, and that I went back and listened to the SOT today just because Josh has won his fourth, like you said, his fourth player of the week. And I don't think this is a surprise to him. And he kind of talked about, when I asked him that today, he kind of said that it's team success. And that's what he's always said. Yeah. Every single player of the week award that he has won, he says it's a team success. Him making the Pro Bowl is just the fact that, it's a great offense, which is part of it. But it's really an interesting dynamic to feel that Josh has always kind of said, this is where I belong. This is, he kind of expected all this to happen when there were some fans that may not have, and especially some people in the media have doubted him as well.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of fans that doubted him. There's no doubt. There was a lot of fans that doubted. By the way, Jenna, was it you or I who said AFC champs? Because we're getting a lot of comments that one of us, I think, said the Bills are. You did it again this week?
What do you mean this week?
Well, it appears that we might have said it tonight, that the Bills are we know they're not AFC champs. They're AFC.
Did I do it again?
East champs. But it could have been me because I said it right after.
I thought
Yeah.
Either way.
Like, they haven't won it yet.
Oh, well,
but it's
yes,
just
AFC
a formality.
I'm just going to say the division because I keep Freudian.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Yes.
Richard Dash they're just
I
saying
don't have a
AFC
comment turned
champs. The Bills are AFC champs already. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we definitely messed that up. Apologies. Freudian slip.
Wait a minute. Hold on. This guy, I got to say, JD says Jenna's awesome. Mike and Dan are okay, too. Seriously.
Thank
That's
you,
what we
JD.
get?
So
Look
much
at that.
respect. I love it.
Yeah.
I can attest Dan and Mike are okay.
Yeah, that's as far as we'll go on that.
No, I mean, okay, Dan, you talk about how you spoke with Josh Allen before this. He expects success to happen. But Mike, realistically, those first couple of starts that he had in 2018, I mean, to see how far he's come, like I wouldn't blame him if he didn't think that he would ever get here.
Well, it's funny because the Bills are now a model of how to handle a quarterback. Mm-hmm. But the start they gave Josh Allen was almost as bad as it gets.
Yes.
Because they traded up to get him, fine. Bring him in, fine. The problem was, they wouldn't admit that they should have had a veteran around him. This was no pandemic offseason. This was just a bad offseason. And you ended up Nate Peterman and Miss Alabama.
AJ McCarron.
AJ McCarron.
And so neither one of those guys was going to be the veteran. And, you started Nate, and next thing you know, Josh's first half of the first game.
Yeah.
He was thrown in. It could have ruined him. I really do believe it could have ruined him. But in hindsight, you look at him and say, nothing bothers this guy. And remember that year was incredibly up and down. And then the out of nowhere game against Minnesota, and they had some really bad moments and some really bad games.
The Packers game, he was really bad.
Really bad in that
Packers,
game.
The Colts, yeah.
Well, the Colts, Allen was injured, but yeah, the Packers game was rough. I was there for most of them. I felt like I always drew that game.
But you looked at it and thought, okay, in hindsight, now you go, wow, that was a good thing for him because he dealt with a horrible roster around him, terrible wide receivers, lack of experience, and he got beaten up a little bit. But he came back. I mean, he came back, and obviously now, again, the Bills look like they've got it all together because they've kept the staff and everything together. So it's impressive. He's impressive. I don't know of another guy who's had the progression in these 3 years quite like Josh Allen. Some guys did it quick. Some guys it took forever. You got Aaron Rodgers who sat out 3 years and then became this. Right. I don't know recently of anybody who's progressed quite like he has in these 3 years.
No, and I think that was what caused people so much concern was that like I said, I think that Bean and McDermott will admit how poorly they set up Josh, and that in a perfect world, Josh wouldn't have had to play.
I think they can now because they.
You know what I'm saying? The fact that they were so ill-equipped to put a quarterback in that was a project. Now, if they had a quarterback that was, even say Joe Burrow-like, where Burrow makes the Bengals competitive, he makes them a better team. Josh Allen's team was so bad, and you knew that Josh was a project. That was it. The Bills even kind of admitted that.
You remember camp? He was getting reps during that time. It was a strange time when he was a rookie. I don't think anybody was like, okay, where are we on this? And and there was a lot of talk right before that first year that they might want to sit, maybe not the whole year, but let him sit. Yeah. And by the Peterman had taken the head Josh was in the
started Peterman.
Things have been different since then.
Mike, your microphone is cutting out a little bit, just so you're aware. Just because we know that people want to hear you yell about the Bills. I don't mean it's pontificating, but Dan, I mean, we do talk so much, but how important do you think, and Josh has spoken about this, like when he got injured his first year playing, he said how important that was to his development. And he always credits Derek Anderson for that leadership role.
Yeah.
Do you think that gave him the ability to kind of take a step back? And then also having Brian Dable for, now going into 3 years, that stability as well.
Well, it's so interesting. If you get to look more into Josh Allen's backstory, he goes to, he's in Firebaugh, this no-name town. He goes to a junior college. He doesn't even start when he goes to junior college. Like, again, that was another thing. He goes to Wyoming, wins the starting job, and then pretty much breaks his collarbone. So he has to sit out again because the game was such going from his level of junior college. It wasn't like he was at Cam Newton Junior College where you're winning national championships. He was at a small junior college in California. And then he goes to Wyoming. He has to learn. He has to sit and wait behind this broken, he has this injury. And, he goes to, it's kind of like lather, rinse, repeat. It's the same story. It's deja vu all over again, where he gets thrown in before, he's in over his head. And you see Power 5 quarterbacks that are in over their head, let alone a guy coming from Wyoming, where, what was he really going to, the level of competition is massive. The jump in level of competition. And Dan Quisian makes a good point. Yeah, so I'm butchering your name, but he says offensive weapons weren't great when he started. That has improved. Having a solid cast up, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. I just think that Bean and McDermott would even go back and admit we would have liked him to have a little bit better of a starting cast when we had to throw him in there, just for his offensive line was a mess. Like Mike said, the deck was stacked completely against Allen to survive, and it should have or could have sunk his career. And instead, it kind of hardened him to understanding where he got to. Look, I mean, Mike, there have been rookie quarterbacks that were probably better college players and came in their first year and got their skulls caved in and then just never recovered. Joey Harrington, Jake Locker, the list can go on and on. EJ Manuel, like we can go on and on of quarterbacks that struggled so much early. They just never were able to overcome it. And Josh is an example of, he went through the growing pains. He didn't sit, he went through them.
Yeah. I would say if you just make the analogy, it's swimming. He didn't walk into the pool and get lessons. They just chucked him in the deep end, right? And they're going, go ahead. And I really don't think that was the intention. They looked amateurish, I thought, early on. And that's what worried me. I'm like, man, this isn't good, because it was a little different. McDermott was around Cam, and Cam was the number 1 pick, and he was in the big time, junior college, then the big time program at Auburn. And he came in and threw for 400 yards his first 2 games. Like, he was ready to go in that Cam Newton way. And he was around McNabb, who I thought they were going to be a little more like, where he sat most of his rookie year, then he played late, and then he took off in year 2. Instead, it was like, oh, we just realized Nate's no good. Go ahead, Josh, you play. And he survived it. And, I mean, look at him now. By the way, 10 times Jim Kelly won AFC Offensive Player of the Week. 8 times Bruce Smith won Defensive Player of the Week. 7 times Steve Christie, the kicker, won Special Teams Player of the Week for the Bills. And then it's Josh Allen at 6. Now, I told Dan this earlier today. There was a Bills player who won the Offensive Player of the Week 4 times in one season. Back when it was 1 award for the entire league. You might have heard of this guy outside of football.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with this.
Yes. Orenthal.
Honey, no.
Yes. OJ. That tells you how good he 1973 as a running back, 4 times NFL Offensive Player of the Week, his 2,000-yard season. So that was a different way they did the stats, and that's the part of the franchise they just
you just kind of turn the page on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of turning the page, fans, very hopeful about being in the stands for the playoff game, or we'll see how many they have. But it was announced today. Cuomo was talking about it, and this is a look at some of the fans in other stadiums wearing a mask. Now, fans will have to wear masks. But Dan, I mean, I think this gave a lot of hope for Bills fans. What was the number? 6,700 people.
Yep.
And the Bills are in talks with the state about just being able to have that presence there if that can be worked out.
Yeah, I think it's an early Christmas present to Bills Mafia. The fact that they're going to have their first home playoff game since 1996, and the fact that, fans, again, this is a proposed plan. This isn't ironed out. This isn't official yet. It's the proposal, and Governor Cuomo is working on ways that I thought it was interesting, whether they have to be tested beforehand. And I guess, you kind of lean on what the airline industry is kind of doing right now, where before you get on planes, you have to show your negative COVID test. I would imagine it'd be something along those lines, Mike.
Yeah, that's if most of the cases, if you're going to foreign countries or to other places. But in this case, and I think they're going to use it a bit as a test for other things. Could it be for concerts? Could it be for other events that you could do?
Yeah.
Right.
They'd be the only ones doing this. There's no other team, no other sport right now where they're testing the fans coming in. And I went through the list. It's close to half the teams in the league that have had fans at some point. A few of them had them and stopped. A few of them had them, and now they're just basically friends and family, a few hundred at the game. And other ones, have 15,000 at the game. It depends on where it is. But that's part of what they would try to do. And I was thinking of it. I go, it's only going to be 6,700 people. As Jordan Poyer said today, we asked him, and he was like, man, I don't know how you're picking those 6,700. If you could put 200,000, there'd be 200,000 people that want to come. And all that is true. But I was thinking of it. The majority of fans obviously aren't going to get to go. Yeah. But I think they'll also enjoy seeing a little of that atmosphere. You guys have been to the games. It's brutal at the game.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's way better when you're watching on TV and they're not showing the fans and they got that fake noise pumped in. At the game, and I'm picturing cold, wintry day with no energy.
Be a little chilly.
So even 6,700 people, I think, adds to the whole thing. And I think even watching it at home, it'll make it a more enjoyable thing.
Oh, and those 6,700 people are going to be screaming at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
There may have been 6,700 people at the airport. Like, that was, and it was so funny. Yeah. Interesting talking to some of the guys today. This was the first time we really got to talk to them since they got back from being AFC East champions, not yet AFC champions. And Stephon Diggs had the best story. He was talking about it, said on the plane ride home. And Jenna, you talked about it. Or no, I was talking to one of my friends who said Pat McAfee has his show, and he said that those plane rides home after winning a championship or after a big win, he goes, those plane rides are insane. He just says that they are just a massive party between the owners, the coaches, everybody. And they're flying home this time, and Stephon Diggs is hearing all of the guys talk about, I wonder how many people are going to be there at the airport. And Diggs is kind of sitting there like, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard about Bills Mafia. Got it. Yeah. And he kind of goes, I was skeptical. Like, man, there's not going to be anybody here. You're all talk. And he got off the plane and said, damn, that's a lot of people. Like, that was the greatest thing that even Stephon Diggs, who has been, hasn't gotten his taste of Bills Mafia, hasn't understood driving into games or driving out of games and seeing fans. Just to sit there and be like, an eye-opening experience. He said he had never seen anything like that. He goes, my entire life, high school, college, pros, after you get off an airport, you just go home. Win, lose, or draw, he said. And he goes, that was something that he had never experienced before. And he goes, I kind of want that stadium atmosphere. And he's like, I know I'm being greedy. So it was an unreal, and again, say what you want about the large gathering at the airport. McDermott even said it on Monday that, he hopes everybody stays safe and that his players stay safe with everything that's going on in the world right now. But it was just kind of funny to hear Stephon Diggs, a person that has been very talkative about Bills Mafia, has always given them love, has never seen them. And even he was like, yeah, okay, how many people are really going to be at the airport? And then he goes, damn, that's a lot of people.
Did you see that guy on the roof? Like, there was like a man up.
Well, what they referenced today in that, even in the governor's news conference, was, he even said, like, I get it. People are excited. He goes, my whole family is excited, rooting for the Bills. But those are not a controlled environment.
Yeah.
As much as they would want them to be. Now, my guess is if they win in the playoffs on the road in Kansas City and they're going to have the same thing again, they may want to keep that a little more organized, because the last thing you'll want is some way, a COVID stretch goes through and somehow it gets to the team. But I mean, they were still pretty far along. I saw it was Matt that just said, line up all 6,700 people right on the front at the stadium. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. Picture that, like everybody getting up as close as possible. But I think they're going to spread them around that lower bowl, maybe. And again, we keep referencing this, Jenna. It's not done.
Right.
I mean, the county executive in Erie County sounded like he got left out of the party, because he was saying, like, I wasn't part of this. Yeah. I'm not really sure. It sounds like he wants to be part of this, which he should be. It's Erie County, but
yeah.
So
Ma saying, so is this a sure thing, the 7,000 fans? No, it is not. It is not a sure thing at this point.
I think they expect it to happen. They wouldn't be talking about it this much if they didn't expect it to happen.
No, I agree, but I just wanted to make sure people know. And then also,
like I said, I'm as, say what you want about this pandemic and all of that stuff and how you're handling everything and the precautions that you're taking. 6,700 people may sound like a lot.
Oh,
the stadium holds over 70,000.
Yeah, it's just under 10%. You'll notice
you can socially distance in that number of people in that big of a capacity.
Yeah, you notice it compared to no one being in there. Like you'll hear. I'm telling you, I don't think fans really get it. It is silent in that place.
Clinical, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good word. It feels.
And Josh said that. Strange. Josh said that. He goes, I know what a few thousand people can do to bring energy, juice, and noise into this. He said it would be a huge asset to them.
Yeah.
And that's something we've talked about. We have talked about this since March when this pandemic hit. And we said, well, home field advantage is really going to kind of be gone. The Bills have always had that home field advantage of coming into, Bill Stadium or New Era Field or the Ralph. And they've had that ability to get a little bit of crowd noise, and maybe the road team can't do as much of a hard count because road teams are doing hard counts like they're at home.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to impact the road team very much. I don't think it's impacted the Bills or any of these teams with the small amount of fans. I do think it can impact the home team for that very reason. If you're at a game, and anybody watching now probably has been, you're screaming, you're yelling at the field, and they hear you as a group. They don't hear you individually.
Oh, they're going to hear
you individually. Yes. Like you yell to Josh, he may look up at you.
Yeah.
It's not that many people at the game. So it's a very strange environment. But it'll be better than what it is now, which is
clinical.
Sterile. That's a really good word. Yeah.
Clinical?
Sterile. Sterile's a good word.
I feel like it's.
You're good, Jenna.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's empty. It's it's like just like a
writer, like Barry Manilow.
It feels like a practice sometimes, where you're just like, oh,
it does.
They're playing now. Some people were asking about tickets in terms of who is going to be able to get them.
Yeah,
and
I know that they did, and a lot of other teams have done it. If you're a season ticket holder, you had a choice to opt in or opt out. If you opted in, your money stayed in there and probably went to next year. And then if there was a chance to buy tickets, you can get it. Some people opted out. And I think depends on the team, that had the option to not send in their money, send it in and keep it for next year, like whatever. I think it starts with the people who opted in.
Yeah. I'm
not sure how many of those people that was. I mean, it's interesting that, maybe companies or whatever, it would be interesting to say, here's my $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, whatever it is, $20,000, depending on how many tickets for the year. And if you don't use it next year. It's a lot of money to leave out there for to hold on to for the year. So I would imagine a lot of people might have opted out. So that's where they're going to start. And then there's going to be a secondary market for some of those tickets too.
I had people in my mentions saying that they would, 1, sell their house, and 2,
I love that.
Somebody responded and said they'd sell their wife.
Oh,
so that is the market that is out there.
Wow, priceless. That is priceless.
Yeah. I don't think they would want you to know that. You know, they would want
the wife doesn't want to know that.
Yeah.
That's the
either
price.
one, that you're trying to sell the house or her.
Hey, honey, we got to move, but I got tickets to the game.
Or, honey, you got to move. I got tickets to the game.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. Whatever those fans that do end up going, I know that's I can't imagine how much money that's gonna cost.
I will say it's not their normal experience though. It'll be great if it's a playoff game and advancing in the playoffs, and you'll get to see that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like being at a regular game. It's strange. But it will be against a very good team. It'll be playoffs, and you get to see something that nobody's seen in 25 years, a home Buffalo playoff game. So
let's talk about Monday's game against the Patriots. I love the promo that's been airing. We're going to show it to you because it's pure perfection if you're a Bills fan.
So this is it. This is what's playing leading into the game. You notice what
Who are they playing?
Yeah. It's the Bills playing the Bills.
And
there they are.
Yeah. First of all, I've never seen that before.
I haven't either.
No. And we used to joke about, you know how they put two players up on the screen? And there were many years where it's like, who are you putting up there for the Bills?
Yeah.
Right? It's Tom Brady and whoever.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and whoever, right? I mean, they dismissed their entire team. I mean, you could have they could have put some of Cam Newton up there if they wanted to. But nobody's interested in seeing the Patriots. Let's be honest. They're a bad, boring team. And with their games, even when they win or I mean, look at that. Was it Denver beat them without scoring a touchdown? I mean, even the Miami game last week, they were in it, but it was ugly.
It was so funny to hear McDermott and the players talk about this Patriots team with the utmost respect, as if New England was 11-3. You would have had no idea. And it was, and I get it. Bill Belichick, Mike, like you have said, still probably the greatest coach of all time, and you'll never disrespect him for anything like that. But it was comical when some of the, Boston media was asking on conference calls this morning and saying like, hey, what are you seeing in the Patriots offense? And like, it was like he had cue cards behind the camera, and Sean McDermott's like, Josh McDaniels is a great coach. He's got to dial up a lot of things. We got to be on our toes. And it's like, I know that's what you have to say.
Yeah.
But if it was a real thing, it was like when Nickel Roby-Coleman was in the locker room, he used to give you honest answers. And he would always say, like, when they had to prepare between Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo at times, and he didn't know how to say Garoppolo's name. and he would go back and forth and be like, Garoppolo, that other guy, like, he's good too. And he would kind of look away like, I don't want to say like I don't respect him, but it was almost like I just have to be nice. Like I know cameras are on me.
But look, in his own way, Belichick's been saying that about the Bills forever.
Yeah.
And there have been times I would run an interview with Belichick and he would talk about a 5-11 Bills team, and I would come out of the soundbite and I would be like, well, that team sounds really good. I wonder who he's talking about. I mean, he'd be like, wow, they really – or he'd start out with like, Terrence McGee's a heck of a kick returner. Like, okay.
Mormons, what a hell of a punter.
But if Bills fans, I might as well go to this because this is my favorite. So we know Cam has been terrible. He's not under contract. Dan has been a huge Jarrett Stidham fan all year, waiting for the Stid man to come in.
Stid man.
So Mike Reese from ESPN was asking the questions today. You got to hear the whole exchange with Bill. Here we go.
Hey, Bill, with this being the first practice of the week and you guys going through your meetings the last couple days, were you sticking with Cam at quarterback?
Mike, we're not answering that question every day. We've been through this for a month.
Totally respect that. I think just with the circumstances changing over the last, last couple days with the playoffs, that's why I asked.
How about if I let you know if we're going to make a change?
How about I let you know?
Man.
And then he followed that up with, anybody got any questions about the Bills? Well, that is kind of about the Bills. I mean,
yeah,
it's about the team you have and the quarterback. And I get it that he's not going to answer. I don't think it has anything to do with hiding it from the Bills. I think he knows he's got no good choices, and he can't wait for the season to end.
Oh, I'm sure. That is Mira saying classic Bill. That is a classic Bill Belichick.
Yeah. Now, let's be honest. He's that way when they're 11-3.
That's what she's saying, though. It's classic. Like,
it's just what he is.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing is that, like, because other coaches have, Belichick assistants that have gone on have always tried to have that, we're on to this game, we're moving on and all that stuff. But when you can only pull it off when you win and you have 6 championships. Like when Bill pulls this on a bad 6-8 team, it's just like, man, the shtick is really old. Like that, that's what it comes off as. And now it's like, well, Bill's finally getting what he deserves from Jugsy.
Yeah. It's like when Greg Popovich, when they start losing, I mean, just the way Pop's been at different times. I mean, he also gives very thoughtful answers on other things. Belichick just doesn't. He just disregards any media questions. But yeah, you're right. You look like you're smarter than everybody when you're winning, and you just don't feel the need to share it. But when you're losing, you look like you don't have a clue. And they are, I will say this, and Dan, you were right from the beginning, they're in a total rebuild. They'll have some talented defensive players still coming back. I think they're going to let Gilmore go. I think that's going to end, whether that's a trade or a release. But offensively, it's a rebuild. I mean, it's a rebuild. And they have not been the greatest at drafting players anyhow. So they're going to do – I bet you they sign a veteran quarterback and draft a young guy, both.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
They got Brian Hoyer.
He'll still be back.
How is he not backing up in Tampa? Doesn't he just follow around Tom, just like carrying his like helmet and shoulder pads everywhere?
Could be. Maybe they get Garoppolo back. But I made this point earlier. Dance on the grave all you want. They won 17 division titles and 6 world titles.
Yes.
Okay, and that's one of the things I thought when Jenna said we got to talk about this game. If you haven't listened to the Buffalo Plus podcast, we recorded it on Tuesday. Did we do it Tuesday or Monday?
Tuesday. Right?
Okay.
Monday.
Really? Whatever. It was recorded earlier this week. It's a really good podcast. Heated exchange between the 2 people on the top of the screen and me here on the bottom of just
the 2 that were right.
People that were right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Who said Josh Allen was going to win the AFC?
Well, you could have said that
I
any
didn't
week.
say
He
that you
wins it
weren't
every
right.
week.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is, let him stink for 20 years, says Matthew at the Post. Yeah, this is my thing. I think that the Bills want every single yard that they can get in this game. I think you run it up to 60-4 if you can.
I would.
I just think that, and I know it's not going to erase or take away their Super Bowl championship.
No, it's not that. You got to be bigger than that. For yourself for this year.
Bigger than that. No.
Here's what I'm telling you is,
I don't want to be the bigger person. I want to be the petty one.
You can't be taking victory laps. It's great. You won a division title. It's just that it's been so bad in Buffalo that it is so exciting, and it should be. But a lot of teams win division titles, okay? I think the Bills' focus shouldn't be on scoring 60 against New England. Go win the game, dominate the game, win it 31-13, shake hands, say goodbye, worry about them next year, and just get ready for the playoffs.
But, Mike, here's my point. And you hear this a lot from teams that go to the Super Bowl that the veteran guys say, like, I haven't been back. You know, they tell the young players, savor this. You don't know when you're going to get this moment again.
Right.
And all of those things. Maybe Bill's a genius next year and does all of these things right. Like, savor this moment where New England, where you can step on their throats, run the bus over them, back it up, run it over again, and enjoy this. I just think that look at San Francisco. They went to the Super Bowl last year with a young quarterback and a young coach, and everybody's going, they're going to be here again. And then you go, hey guys, don't savor this moment because
No, you're missing the point. That's a real accomplishment. They made the Super Bowl. I'm not diminishing that the Bills are not having a great
division championship.
Yeah,
I agree with MD saying stay healthy is most important.
Yeah, Richard Hauser knows what he's talking about. He says, darn right, Dan, run them over.
No.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, if you do it, that's fine. The focus has got to be on getting yourselves ready for the playoffs. And like I say, go score 60. Guess what? Doesn't mean anything when you play against the Titans or the Ravens or whoever in the first playoff game. I want to see this team have real success. And beating New England again, a crappy New England team that you got lucky to beat the first time, but go beat them this time. Sweep them. They haven't been swept. I don't know if you guys in how long, and you could sweep the whole division. That's fantastic. That to me that's a real accomplishment when you pile it on a great playoff run. That's what I think. And I'm with McDermott. McDermott's focus is not past the Patriots. He wants to win the game, move on to the next thing. That's what you want to do.
But I even look at the last area. I even look at the last game. They could have lost. Like that you can still kind of it stinks. It really does stink that the Dolphins got to eliminate them. Like it really does for Bills fans.
It would have been nice if they could have been the one eliminating them. Yes.
Yeah. Like the one that really could have put them out of their misery. But I still think that without Stephon Gilmore and with whoever is at quarterback, Jenna, can you believe that 31 other teams passed on Cam Newton?
I just love that. Incredible.
I just think that, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a fanboy here. I'm just trying to say that, like, you can send a message by beating them.
I think the message
is sent. The Bills are by far and away the better team. New England is already dead. I think maybe that's part of what it is. Like, if they still had a glimmer of hope and the Bills buried them, that would be cool. Yeah. They're done. They know they're done. They're spent.
They were done before the season, and when they played in Buffalo, they had to have a Justin Zimmer play to hang on for dear life.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, this is a chance to dominate them for years.
Yeah.
And I know.
Look, I think they're going to dominate them anyhow. I don't see how New England scores points in this game. I really don't. I just see no offense.
No offense. Here's my thing. Put up 35, stay healthy, and move on to the next game.
What would really be nice
is
late third quarter, maybe like one series of the fourth. That's sort of where you get the starters out of the game. Yeah. Josh goes and sits down, hands off a couple of times. Matt Barkley gets sacked a few times. That's what you do. That's how you – by the way, the Christmas song, the 12 Days of Christmas, did you see it?
Yes.
Is it the vintage one?
No, it's a new one.
No, it's a new one.
Oh.
They are – first of all, Brandon Beane, you got to watch it, is phenomenal. In the beginning,
stole the show.
He stole the show. And in a group of terrible singers, first of all, Isaiah McKenzie's awesome, as he always is.
Funny.
He could say anything. Christian Wade, just because he says it with an accent, sings it. They're all terrible singers. But Matt Barkley, if you thought getting sacked on one play was bad, listen to him sing.
Michael.
Oh, wait till you listen to it. And the bad part for Barkley is, in case he hears this, you hear it over and over again because I think he's, what is it, 5?
He's 5. He's 5 golden rings.
Oh, you will cringe every time he sings it.
I have sung the 12 Days of Christmas since I've watched that 42 times to my daughter as we were eating dinner and going back and forth through it and that was a great remake. The Bills PR team in social media team has been phenomenal. They have been one of the best in the league, this year, in the previous years. I still wanted Leotis. I wanted a cameo from Leotis.
So good.
It is something, and the guy who makes an appearance is a big surprise.
Yes.
Because I did not expect that. But Brandon Beane is phenomenal at the beginning. Yes. It's worth watching.
All right. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Miss that hashtag content. All right. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up here?
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Why don't we tell everyone about Monday? There you go. We have a special Let's Talk Football Live edition coming up this upcoming Monday at 7:30. You can watch it on 13 Wham ABC in Rochester. It'll be leading into the Bills game. The Bills game where they're playing the Patriots, unless you couldn't tell from the promo that has been running.
Look, at least we included a Patriots logo in there.
I know, seriously.
And by the way, just so it's also going to be on YouTube, and it's also going to be on Facebook Live, like we always are. So
as well,
and we really appreciate everybody who's been joining in with this. We're going to continue to do these shows, hopefully for a while. Hopefully this team's going in the playoffs, and it doesn't just end with a 60-point win against the Patriots on Monday.
Also, a quick aside. I forgot to say East. I hope you people will accept me from going on in the future. I said AFC.
Maybe you
AFC
already know.
East.
Maybe Jenna just knows.
Maybe we'll save this clip for when.
She already knew they were going to just like Dan predicted that Josh Allen would win the Josh Allen Award again 4 times AFC Player of the Week for offense. But yeah, it's been quite a year so far. We got, a chance to again on national TV for the Bills on Monday. And then it's basically after the Dolphins, everything is national.
Yeah.
I will say this before the season. I don't want to be that guy. Jenna, you had 10 wins. Mike had 11 wins. I had 12 wins.
You did.
I just want that to be on the record as well.
That is true. That is correct.
I also have the worst season record out of anybody picking the games this year.
Them a lot.
But I had them winning to get to the AFC Championship in the playoffs.
Yes.
And I'm sticking with that. I had 11 wins and get to the AFC Championship.
I have them going to the Super Bowl.
It could be 13.
Yeah, it very well could.
It depends on that last game. It may be meaningless, but we'll see.
You talk about a stretch though for Bills fans winning the AFC title. Having the Jets
AFC East.
Oh my God, I did it again. AFC East title, the division, winning the division, having the Jets
lose the number 1 pick,
lose out on Trevor Lawrence, having the Steelers lose, and having this chance to put away. They're already put away.
Thank you so much for bringing up the Steelers.
Yes.
Has Mike Tomlin got their attention yet, Jenna? I just want to know that if maybe the head coach gets their attention after the 3rd loss.
Let me ask you this.
I will say, I thought the first loss to Washington was a wake-up call, but the snooze has been hit.
Well, they woke up. They never woke up and they went back to sleep again. I tell you, that team's a mess.
Yeah.
The best they've played, quite honestly, was probably the first half of the game against the Bills. Yeah.
They're just too beat up. Ben can't throw the ball more than 2 yards beyond, and above the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
They're a mess. They're not going to make any noise in the postseason.
No. And the Bills have passed them right now. They want to hold on.
And I said that when I was so confident in that play. I should have bet more on that game, and I chickened out because I was like, this is weird. I can't like this game that much. Just want that to be out there.
AFC East. Okay.
AFC East.
AFC East title.
Go Bill.
All right. For Dan and Mike, I'm Jenna. I can't speak tonight, so there's that. Check us out on Monday. We'll have more content on buffaloplus.com as well as on our YouTube page. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on Monday.